Um, the source of everything, practically speaking, that you're seeing in the media, just coming from people that say, maybe people that you're arguing with on social media, certain buzzwords, certain concepts, certain ideas that have been propagated about Israel and even about Jews, but primarily about Israel throughout the years, and where that actually comes from. And actually, I will tell you guys that it's actually part and parcel of everything that you're seeing going on in society and on social media and on college campuses, at large. But more specifically about Israel. The source of all of this, I will just tell you guys, not only the source of all of the stuff you see in the media, but also just the source of the very idea of a Palestinian state and a Palestinian nation came from one place and one place only. And that would be the halls of the KGB. The hallways of the KGB inside of the Soviet Union. These people formulated strategy, which includes media strategy, messaging, branding, propaganda, agitprop. Not only that, they formulated for every single entity on this planet nation building. Because they were trying to spread their tentacles all over the world, so they said, well, how do we come to basically a banana republic, or how do we come to a person who wants to build a nation, not just physically a nation, but an actual idea of a nation from scratch, right? How do we take tribes, right? People who run according to tribal society. Whether you're talking about Africa, you guys remember Pan-Africanism? They did the same thing. The KGB, they did this stuff in Africa. How do we go to people who live in the tribal societies and turn them into modern-day nation states? Not only physically, but how do we get them to coalesce, or I don't know, coagulate into this entity, and then how do we get that entity how do we train that entity to propagate itself on the world scene, on the world stage? They figured out ways how to do that. They had intellectuals, people with PhDs. I'm talking about Russians, psychologists, anthropologists, linguists, all kinds of people, mathematicians, big intellectuals, spiritualists, who figured out a way, who studied these tribes, and they said, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to go in. This is, we're going to identify, in this particular case, they identified a person such as, in this particular case, Yasser Arafat. We're going to train this person how to start a nation from a bunch of tribes. And these tribes hail from Syria, Lebanon, what today is Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and we're going to train this person. We're going to train him, first of all, how to behave, what to say, how to be, how to do, tactics, military, everything, literally everything. My friends, you don't believe me? Go, you can Google Arafat in Moscow. He's at the funeral of his handler, of his mentor, KGB. I think this happened in the 70s. They started with him in 1964 with the PLO and Fatah, what is today the PA. And again, if you guys don't believe me, Mahmoud Abbas he was one of the trainees also. He was under Arafat, so he went to Patrice Lumumba University in Moscow and he got a PhD. What did he get his PhD in? He wrote a thesis on how the Holocaust was overblown and how these numbers were overblown. Basically, Holocaust denial. He wrote a thesis about that and how the Zionists spoke to the Nazis, and that that's how the state of Israel was founded. Stuff like that. Guys, you can go look this up. I'm not spewing out conspiracy theories right now. And I'm just telling you guys, as the son of dissidents, Soviet dissidents, everybody in the Soviet Union knew this. My grandmother's sister, her patronymic name was Sonia Izrailovna. They used to call her Sonia Aggressorovna. So now you guys are wondering. We fast forward to today. Israel is the aggressor. Israel is killing babies. My guys, you notice the tactic. What they do, they come at you and they say, how many kids in Gaza died? How many people in Gaza died versus how many people in Israel died? You know, as if this is like the Olympics or I don't know, some sports competition. We're keeping tabs, we're keeping score on how many people died. No, it's all about the intention, right? It's all about what are you intending to do? What is Israel intending to do versus what is Hamas intending to do? Right? They're just sad not enough Jews died. You know, I always ask them the question, okay, so 20 Arabs died in Gaza, and 0 died today in Israel. What if 20 or 25 Jews died? Well, you would say, okay, now we can mourn. No, you'd celebrate, right? Different story. But this is what they do, guys. But this is a psychological trick. It came from the halls of the KGB. This is a media trick, and this is something that NBC, ABC, CBS, BBC, Al Jazeera English, Al Jazeera Arabic, RT, all these networks picked up on, my friends. This is something, CNN, and this is what they do. They manipulate people. They manipulate the masses. Not only that, they distort. You know, somebody like Naftali Bennett comes on and says, well, guys, I mean, like, you guys are shooting rockets from civilian areas, and we're defending civilian areas. And you see what they do. The person he's talking to, the person ignores what the guy just said, what Bennett just said, and then they plow through with their point, with their nonsensical point. This is something, my friends, this is something out of the playbook, out of actually two entities, the KGB, and by extension, a gentleman by the name of Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. Just keep pushing. Keep pushing. You know, if somebody comes back at you, just, you know, keep pushing the same thing. My friends, this is something Arafat was pushing for years and years and years, and then after he passed away, Mahmoud Abbas took over. You know, with the PA, a friend of mine just said, you know, the PA has been trying to chip away slowly at the land. Hamas, their whole thing is just, we want to destroy you, you know, completely in one shot. We don't make any illusions about wanting to destroy it. But at this point, my friends, you see, in the international stage, the people who are for the, you know, free Palestine, if you go to these protests in the Western world, they don't care who's doing the freeing. Right? They don't care if it's the PA or Hamas. It doesn't really matter to them. They're happy to use them. Like I said yesterday, you know, if you guys see those Gigi Hadid and whoever, you know, those two models who are posting themselves half naked on Instagram, I always say, you know, if Hamas frees Palestine, Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid are not going to be able to post their little cutesy pictures on Instagram. They're going to be walking around with burqas, okay? If Hamas has their way. Well, you know, I guess they're happy to use Hamas as a vehicle for freeing Palestine, right? We'll see what happens after that, right? We saw what happened behind me 2 days ago, where they basically expelled the PA Mufti. These guys want a state. They expelled them from Al-Aqsa, Hamas guys. They want a state. They have a Crips and Blood situation, my friends. So the Crips and the Bloods, they want to have a state. They can't have a state. They're gonna have a civil war the first day they declare a state, a real state. They get a state. The first day of the state's gonna be a civil war. Kidding me? But anyway, guys, this all the stuff you guys are seeing in the media, all the stuff you guys see on social media, it all goes back to one place: the Soviet Union, the KGB, who taught Yasser Arafat how to take a patchwork of tribes and turn it into something that sounds like a nation. If you guys don't believe me, again, look at their flag. It's basically the Jordanian flag without there's like a sun on it or something like that. Guys, that's essentially what it is. Go to Africa, the same thing. It's a bunch of tribes that the Western colonials came, yes, and the KGB as well, and taught them how to make nation states. And you see what happens. They made nation states and they have civil wars upon civil wars upon civil wars. Well, you think the Palestinians won't have that? The Palestinians? It's all tribals. You have the Hebron, you have the Nablus, you have the, you know, the Ramallah, the Jenin people. You know, if you listen to Mordechai Kedar, he says, well, instead of a state, why don't you just have emirates like they have in the Emirates? 8 emirates. You could do that. Nobody's talking about that. Guys, I mean, I'm over here in Abu Tor, right? Half my neighborhood is Arabs. If you go down the hill, rich Arabs with like Arabian horses and like souped up cars. These guys are from a particular tribe. I think maybe now, the new generation, somebody told me that they marry each other, different tribes and all that kind of stuff, but it was a very rare thing back in the day. And you want to say that these people want to have a nation? This nation? And you guys may be asking, why did the Soviet Union do this? Because this is a Cold War. This was a Cold War. America chose Israel as an ally. That's a different conversation. And so the Soviet Union had to choose someone in the region. So they went with Nasser, they went with Arafat, with other people, with Syria now. You see, Russia still with Syria, with Lebanon, with Hezbollah. My friends, these are all interests. Russia had an interest to be here. But what they did, and what they trained Arafat to do, and what really, really stuck, and now you see it with not only with this whole Palestinian issue, but also with just the way that the left in the world, in Europe, and America communicates, the way that they manipulate information, the way they do agitprop, and the way that they do propaganda. It's straight out of the KGB playbook, my friends. The way things are done on campuses, you can't even speak out, have your own opinion, lest you be canceled. That's a Soviet thing, my friends. There will be no peace until they love their children. Yeah, but that's something else. Until they listen, that's a basic thing that Golda Meir said. But if you want to talk about the idea of a state and the idea of just this thing called Palestine as a country, this was the name of this land before there was a state of Israel. But there was never a state of these Arabs. We know that. We know that. Any person who knows history knows that. But these people came, these Soviet scientists, anthropologists, psychologists, and they were recruited into the KGB, and they taught. They found a guy called Yasser Arafat, and they taught him how to create something from nothing, out of thin air. My friends, and you could say, well, look at all these other places. Yeah, that's how countries get started. Yeah, but the question is, how are you starting a country? From what? What is your idea? What is your general idea? What is your mission statement? For what reason are you starting a country? Who's part of your country? Yeah, America also had its civil war. That was over economics and, kind of regional things and slavery, whatever it is. But like, what is your central theme of starting a country? Are you starting it based on ideas of, like certain maxims, or are you just trying to, or somebody else is coming, training a person who comes from the outside to create something that is supposed to be a weapon for your own purposes, for somebody else's purposes, in this case the Soviet Union. My friends, again, go research this. This is probably the most important and greatest story never told. Even if you take away this Palestinian statehood thing, look at what's happening today, the way that stuff is being portrayed in the media, the way that the media themselves, the Western media, speak. This is straight out of the KGB playbook. Straight out of it. You look for an aggressor, you turn the people who are defending themselves into the aggressor. You do the ultimate gaslighting job for years and years and years. That's what you do. That's how you do it. To the point where the world, or at least half the world, starts to believe it. And little kids are running around with hashtags. Little kids have nothing to do with anything. They're not even Arab. I understand one thing if you're Arab, Bella and Gigi Hadid, whatever, their father's a Palestinian or Jordanian, whatever, he is billionaire. Some genocide he had. And these guys too, I showed you guys yesterday with their Arabian horses over here. Cost thousands of dollars. I get it. Okay, you have national pride, whatever, as long as, as you post on Instagram with your, half-naked bodies, it's all good. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, if you're going to free Palestine, don't, you know what I said the other day? I said Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid should put posters of themselves in Gaza City, on one of their pictures from Instagram, and I want to see the response from the elders of Hamas, from Yahya Sinwar and that other guy that looks like a monkey. They look like deformed. These guys. I'm not even. It's not nothing to do with race. If you look at these guys' pictures, these guys look like they just came out of like Neanderthal. That chart. It's scary. These are like epitome of a mullet. These guys, the ones that run Hamas. But I want to see what their reaction is going to be to Bella and Gigi Hadid's pictures. Guys, I mean, or the people that what is it, Queers for Palestine, or as we like to call it, Chickens for KFC. Like seriously, free Palestine, really? I was saying the other day, I'm like, I find it very interesting that, the woke left who love Palestine so much, they don't seem to have any problem with the toxic masculinity of the Palestinian man in the streets of New York beating the crap out of the Jew, out of the defenseless Jew, They don't seem to have a problem with toxic masculinity of men who come from patriarchal societies. Only white men, or men like me who look white, right? It's interesting. I find it quizzical, My friends, I gave an explanation as to why the West is supporting this. I gave the more deeper explanation, but it's just funny to me. They don't realize what's coming. They don't realize that if global Islamism has its way in the West, that their liberal values and all of their transgender and all that kind of stuff is going to go into the garbage can. I always say, I ask the question, the famous question, at least my famous question, what's going to happen first? Are the woke white people going to come after Orthodox Jews? Or are Muslims going to come after the woke white people? What's going to happen first? I'm pretty sure the Muslims are happy to use the woke white people for their own purposes. I can tell you that much, guys. They just don't get it. But guys, at the end of the day, this whole thing that you're watching, forget about even the Palestine issue, this whole thing that you've been watching for the past couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, in the media, on college campuses, this all comes from one place, the KGB. They taught people how to, all these professors, these hippy-dippy professors in the 70s and 80s, they all traveled to the Soviet Union, just like Bernie Sanders went there. And they taught them all these tactics. How are we going to spread communism? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to infiltrate the universities. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. And we have ways to manipulate words, ways to manipulate people's minds, how to manipulate the media, how to lie without making it seem like we're lying, how to omit things, how to distort things, how to take the victim or take the person who's being aggressed on and turn him into the aggressor, how to flip everything on its head. This is something that psychologists and anthropologists and very intelligent people in the Soviet Union who ended up working for the KGB knew how to do, and they trained people in the West how to do it. And then they trained, or they taught a guy from Egypt how to create a nation from nothing. And here we are today, my friends. Here we are today, listening to the nonsense. More Israel's the aggressor. Again, Naftali Bennett comes on. It's him versus the world. Does the world care? Do these people on the? But children are not like they can't even hear his words. They can't even. It's not that they're. And you guys wonder, are these people stupid? Are they anti-Semites? Could be, but there's a method here that was taught years ago, and it still prevails to this day. NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, BBC, the same. It's from a place, my friends. You have to know where it came from. It came from the Soviet Union. And this thing that we're talking about today, free Palestine, it came from the Soviet Union. It's just a weapon. It's an idea. It's a weapon that has no standing in anything. Nothing from nothing means nothing. Okay? If you guys don't believe me, I suggest you guys go look it up. It's very sparse information about this on the internet. You'll find some information written by this, what's his name, Pasipa, this Romanian intelligent guy, spoke about it, very sparse, but you can find it. And Professor Mordechai Kedar actually confirmed what I said. I asked him about it, he said, yeah, straight up. But this was the strategy. You take people who live in tribal societies, and you teach them. You drag them by their in Russian we say shkirka. There's like a piece of skin in the back of a dog or an animal, any animal, piece of fur that's kind of loose. So you drag them by that piece of fur into the next century, as it were. You teach them how to make nation states, Western. But these people aren't Western, guys. But they want to come and they want to make a Western state in the UN. Why? Because they want the Jews out of here. They want us swimming around in the Mediterranean, under the sea, under the sea. That's what they want us. They want us under the sea. My friends, what I love is that, and I'll end on this, what I love is that my fellow Jews who vote Democrat and liberal Jews keep talking about the two-state solution. Meanwhile, the people that are protesting in New York, they're not talking about the two-state solution. All you hear from them is, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What river and what sea? From the Jordan River to the Sea of Galilee? What, they want just to go on? No, my friends. They want from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. They don't want two-state solution. No, you can say, well, no, you said this. That's why you negotiate. I'm like, my friends, they don't want to negotiate. The PA doesn't either. The PA just uses negotiation as a tactic to chip away and chip away and chip away. From the river to the sea. The PA also has banners, flags that shows the entirety of Palestine. You could say, let them think what they want, and this is how you know. No, not let them think what they want. They will think what they want. And you think the stupid things that you think. But that's what they want eventually. Hamas also wants it. They just have different ways of going about it. That's really the difference here, my friends. From the river to the sea, they don't want two-state. They want from the river, they want it all. They want everything. And they want us to swim. Or, be killed on the streets of 47th Street. Or be, I don't know. They asked that guy yesterday. The one that just got out of jail for beating the Jew. They're like, would you do it again? Do you regret it? He's like, nope, I'd do it again. They asked that soccer player, are you Jewish? The guy, last name Lewis. He's like, no. And then he said, what if I said I was? They're like, well, if you were, we'd beat you to a pulp. My friends, even if, we disagree with some of the things that Arabs are doing to Jews here, do you guys ever see Jews coming to mosques in America? Or vandalizing anything Jewish in America, anything Muslim in America? I've never seen that. I've never seen that, Sorry guys, my phone is heating up here. Have you guys ever seen that? But here we are. We're in America, we're in Europe, and these people are attacking people who have nothing to do with anything. Or do they? My friends, this all comes from one place. This all comes from one place. And the minute we realize that, we can figure out what this is, and we can figure out that it's all a con. That's all it is. It's a con game. We've been conned into accepting this whole narrative, Palestinian state, and two-state this, and that, and the other. My friends, I call BS. I call BS. And the minute you know where this all came from, is the minute you can come to the media and on social media, and you could say, I know where you got your tricks. If you guys ever seen the movie, what was that movie, Night at the Roxbury? There's a guy, what's his name, the club owner, Mr. Nadir. He's like, Dewey, did you grab my ass? He's like, no, sir. From where I'm standing, that's a physical impossibility. I know your tricks, Dewey. I know your tricks. You come to them and say, I know your tricks. We know where they got them from. Their whole thing is BS, my friends. It's all BS, and it came from one place. KGB. S. Alright, guys. I'll talk to you very soon.